Hey, welcome sports fans to today's Sports Roundtable. Glad you joined us for today's show as we've got... And welcome everyone to today's Sports Roundtable, and glad you joined us for today's show as it's been a big week here in Southeast Missouri and basically across the state as well in these high school district tournament matchups, and we've had quite a few over the last few days coming into the weekend, and we brought quite a few games to you here on YHC this week as well. So it's been fun. It's been a fun week, and entering to another week of basketball here in the next week as we're finishing out the quarterfinal rounds, heading into the state tournament, or excuse me, the final four for classes 1, 2, and 3, and for class 4 and 5 entering to the sectional rounds this week. So a whole lot to get to from this past week. A lot's happened. A lot of our local teams, or a handful of our local teams, are advancing and still in the mix in the state tournaments here in the state of Missouri. So it's been a fun week, and we brought a few games to you this week. We brought 5 games to you this past week in Class 1, Class 3, and Class 4, Wednesday and Thursday night, and we'll have some highlights of those games from Thursday night up at Genevieve here momentarily. But we're also going to give a preview of the games that we're going to be bringing to this next week right here on Channel 21 and YHCtv.com. And let's first do some games from the other night. And first starting off with the boys Class 1 sectionals that took place Tuesday night in Bloomfield. And we brought that live to you from Bloomfield Tuesday night. And, we're advanced on here. We're in the quarterfinals. This actually took place today. Advanced over Scott County Central in the sectional round Tuesday night in Bloomfield. This game was actually Saturday. Here on Saturday, it's defeated Eminence 75-58. An impressive victory for the Advanced Hornets over Van Buren Saturday afternoon. And the Advanced Hornets move on to the state tournament. They went a few years back to the state championships, which is the Final Four in Columbia at Mizzou Arena. And the Advanced Hornets certainly where they want to be at this time of the year, playing for potentially a state championship next weekend. Their game will be next Thursday. At the Mizzou Arena in Columbia in the final round, and we'll get the matchup here momentarily. And look at some other games in the boys Class 2 quarterfinals that took place today. In the boys Class 2 quarterfinals, it was Oran defeating the defending state champions in a very impressive game over Hartville, 55-52. They went down to the wire over at Three Rivers College in Poplar Bluff this afternoon as Oran advanced over Hartville. Hartville, the defending Class 2 state champion, and a victory for the Oran Eagles as they advance over Hartville, going to state Final Four in Columbia in Class 2. So Oran had a very impressive year. They've gone under the radar a little bit, but they're right there and going to be going to the Final Four this year to represent Class 2 here in Southeast Missouri. And moving on to the boys Class 3 quarterfinals today, the boys Class 3 finals, Sikeston coming off a very impressive victory over Charleston the other night that we brought to you live Wednesday night from Dexter. They fell to Whitfield in the quarterfinals today, Saturday afternoon up in Farmington, and that final score was 66-47. Whitfield victorious over Saxony Lutheran. A little shocker there. Saxony Lutheran looked awful good the other night against a very good Charleston team, won that game handily, but Whitfield, one of the teams in the state in Class 3 and right up the rankings all year long. Saxony Lutheran right there in the pack in the state rankings. Probably had a little off game today, and having an off game against a very good team like Whitfield, it out of hand. It looks like that was the case today. Saxony Lutheran had a very good year, a team that probably went under the radar most of the year until they got to the postseason play and really excelled with a district champion over Donovan, a sectional victory over Charleston Wednesday night. Just fell against Whitfield in that quarterfinal round. But Saxony Lutheran only 4 losses on the year this year, and a very impressive season from the Saxony Lutheran Crusaders. And moving on to the girls Class 1 quarterfinals that took place here on Saturday. In the girls Class 1 quarterfinals, it was South Iron defeating Scott County Central 53-41. Scott County Central coming up a bit short against South Iron over in Van Buren this here on Saturday. So Scott County Central girls season comes to an end in the quarterfinal round as Southern will advance on to the state Final Four in Columbia this coming weekend. And in other games, we have the girls Class 2 sectionals Class 2 sectionals, and that was Oran coming off a sectional victory over Puxico, and they got the victory over Neelyville. Impressive win there for Oran. Neelyville been one of the teams in our area pretty much regardless of class. They've had some big wins this year, notably over Dexter and some other schools. And Oran getting the victory over Neelyville 72-69. Went down to the wire there between Oran and Neelyville, but Oran pulls it out. They will advance on, just as their boys team will. Both boys and girls teams will advance on. The Oran Eagles basketball teams to the state Final Four in Columbia this coming week. And also in the girls Class 3 quarterfinals. In the quarterfinals, it was Whitfield defeating Saxony Lutheran in a close one, 44-37. And that was two matchups with the same teams, boys and girls, up in Farmington this afternoon, as Whitfield, both their boys and girls teams will advance as well. And they won 44-37 over Saxony Lutheran, and Saxony Lutheran falls just short of making the state Final Four in Columbia in the quarterfinal round. And take a look at some other games from the other night in the boys Class 4 District 1 finals. It was Sikeston beating Cape Central 6-55. Sikeston wins their second straight district title and really had the game throughout. They really controlled the game throughout, as Jeff Williams and I brought you that game from St. Genevieve live Thursday night, and Sikeston had a lot of energy out of the gate and pretty much sustained that energy throughout the whole game and had a nice finish against Cape Central, as they've had a few hiccups here of late. Lost to Jackson late in the season and only a 2-point victory over Dexter in the semifinal round. Really showed up big Thursday night with that win over Cape Central, and we've got some highlights to show you from Thursday night here. We got Red knocking down the throw on the left side. And here, nice backdoor cut. Fred Thatch with the finish. Here, Kevin Jones knocking down the three in the corner, really starting to build some momentum the latter part of the first quarter. Here, Fred Thatch, a nice turnaround jumper, gets it to go. And you see there a nice put in by Mills, plus the foul. He had a big game. And here, I think it was Oswald on the right side hitting that three. Mills, another jumper. He had 7 points in that second quarter to really provide the burst. Kevin Jones with a backdoor. And here, Parker getting a nice follow-up from Cape Central on that dunk. Here, Peyton Howard knocking down a three on the left side in the third quarter. And now Oswald, a little runner on baseline towards the end of the third. Here, a run out. Move. Sykes really starting to take control of this game later in the second, late in the second half. As you'll see there, a nice finish at the basket. Oswald hits a three on the right wing. And here a nice backdoor cut. Kevin Jones with the easy basket. And that's a Class 4 District 1 championship for the Sikeston Bulldogs as they advance the second straight year over the Cape Central Tigers. As you see they're celebrating to the student section up in St. Genevieve as Sikeston victorious over Cape Central last night. Very impressive run for Sikeston this year. As I said, they just had a little hiccup in here in the last few weeks, but really brought the energy Thursday night. Cape Central just wasn't really able to match that intensity, and really offensively, they had a hard time scoring. Sikeston got out to a lead and pretty much held it throughout. So impressive game by the Sikeston Bulldogs, winning that Class 4 District 1 championship Thursday night in St. Genevieve. And take a look at the girls Class 4 District 1 final. It was the top-seeded Dexter Lady Bearcats victorious over the third-seeded Sikeston Bulldogs, 44-35. The Dexter Bearcats advance on with their 7th straight district championship. Impressive run by these Lady Bearcats in girls basketball as they win their 7th straight district title. Very impressive run. I think they've ever won since about 2009, 2010, however that comes out there. But it's been an impressive run by these Lady Bearcats, and they advance on to the Class 4 sectionals with that victory from Thursday night. And we got some highlights from that game Thursday night. Early on, Hannah Thurman getting the pass and putting it up for easy two. Here, Boyd knocking down the shot. She had about 7 points in the game. Nice dump down pass. Thurman to Garrison for the assist here. Shaylee Moy getting a basket out in transition. Kirsten Garrison gets a basket and a tough shot there in the second quarter. As we see here, a nice drive and finish by Shaylee Moy there. And here, a nice little finish, pass in the paint, and finish for the Lady Bulldogs here. McClellan knocking down the three at the top of the key. Sikeston stayed within striking distance, but here late. Natalie Seitz finishes it in transition, and you see there the Dexter Lady Bearcats held on late for that 7th straight district championship in St. Genevieve Thursday night. So very impressive run by the Lady Bearcats, getting that victory over Sikeston for the 2nd straight year. These Sikeston Lady Bulldogs, tough team, really tough team. They played Dexter tough the past 2 years in those district championships. Went down to the wire. Only, I think, a 3 or 4 point victory for Dexter last year in the district championship, and it come down to less than single digit spread there Thursday night. Both teams had a hard time scoring. Sikeston really plays a physical type of game, really get after you defensively, full court, and Dexter really couldn't get into a rhythm scoring. And Sikeston, they don't have a whole lot of scores. They don't have a deep bench. They play about 5, 6 players at the most, and you can really tell they really started to get gassed late. And they only had about they get their scoring from mainly 2 players, but then they had Boyd that really stepped up, hit some open shots as they really keyed in on Mitchell and McClellan for the Sikeston Bulldogs. Did a pretty good job keeping them in check, holding them to 35, and the defense pretty much paid for that Dexter Lady Bearcat victory Thursday night. So the Dexter Lady Bearcats will advance on to the Class 4 sectionals, which we'll talk about those matchups in our next segment. So that's what we're going to do. We're going to take a quick break and talk about matchups going forward and all the class options going forward. And also the game will be broadcasting this next week right here on YHC and YHCtv.com. So we're going to be back with that coming up.
For more than 75 years, the law firm of Crow, McVeigh and Shear, LLP, has legal needs of Southeast Missouri. Located at 308 1st Street in Kennett, Crow, Reynolds, Shetley, McVeigh and Shear, LLP is a full-service law firm providing representation in a wide range of areas, such as personal injury, workers' compensation, family law, criminal law, probate, business, and estate planning. For all your legal needs, call Crow, Reynolds, Shetley, McVeigh and Shear, LLP at 573-888-4664.
At New Wave, we're proud to call the communities we serve our home. Our customers tell us having a local office is important to them. That's why we maintain dozens of local offices and employ over 500 skilled employees, all focused on delivering the best customer experience. We don't just connect communities, we connect to our communities, helping support the schools, organizations, and events that support all of us. Thank you for choosing New Wave Communications, your local provider of internet, TV, and phone.
And welcome back, and take a look at some of the matchups that are set to take place this week in all the classifications going forward as we're heading into the state Final Fours for classes 1 through 3 as those quarterfinal matchups wrapped up here today on Saturday. And taking a look at the Final Four matchups taking place in boys Class 1. These will be the semifinal games on Thursday, as Advance is set to take on North Andrew, and all these teams here in the pretty much the top 5 or 6 teams in the state in Class 1, as pretty much the best teams advanced on to the Final Four for boys Class 1. As we see here, Advance at 25-6 will take on North Andrew, who's at 28-1, and North Andrew, I believe, is the #1 ranked team in the state in Class 1. So certainly a worthy opponent for the Advance Hornets, taking on the 28-1 top-ranked North Andrew. I think the North Andrew Cardinals in the semifinal round coming up Thursday. That'll be a Thursday 12 o'clock start right at noon. And you can catch these games online. If you don't make the trip, you can watch it online. You can go to MSHSAA.tv, that's MSHSAA.tv, and you can watch on a pay-per-view basis. I believe for one day it's a $9, I believe what it was in the past. I'm not sure if that's going to be the case this year, but typically it's around $9 for a 24-hour pass. So any games taking place within that 24 hours, you can watch for $9, and they give you a couple-day pass to watch, multiple days. So it is available on a pay-per-view basis on MSHSAA.tv to watch the Advance Hornets Thursday at 12 noon. And the other semifinal, Walnut Grove, one of the top 5 teams in the state in Class 1. They're at 28-3, taking on Glasgow at 27-3 in that other semifinal. So we've seen those teams quite a bit, especially Glasgow. Advance going to be right there in the mix. They've had a great season. Really had a good shot last year to make it, but Gideon was the team to advance on in Class 1 last year. Advance bringing back probably the strongest group from last year's teams, and they're making their run. Got a chance to play for a state championship this coming Saturday if they're fortunate to get by North Andrew, the top-ranked team in the state in Class 1. We'll see how that plays out, starting at 12 noon on Thursday. Taking a look at boys Class 2, the Oran Eagles set to take on Sacred Heart in the semifinal round. Oran comes into the game 21-8 against Sacred Heart at 25-5, and that'll be a 3:20 start on Thursday. And if you're going to be watching Advance, might as well, if you watch Advance online, you can catch Oran's game online as well at 3:20. Again, that's Misha.tv, MSHSAA.tv. Sign up for a pay-per-view pass to watch online. And Oran set for that semifinal game Thursday against Sacred Heart. And the other semifinal, Harrisburg will take on Crane. Harrisburg at 22-8, Crane at 19-10. Those are the semifinal matchups for boys Class 2. Boys Class 3, Whitfield and Hogan Prep set there for Class 3. Whitfield defeated Saxony Lutheran today in the quarterfinal round. So Whitfield comes in at 21-9. They will take on Hogan Prep at 23-7. And the other semifinal game, Transportation and Law. I've never heard of that school. It might be a new charter school of some kind, possibly. But they're coming in at 19-10, taking on Mountain Grove. Comes in at 28-2. Those are the semifinal matchups for boys Class 3. And a little strange, we're not seeing a Charleston or a team like maybe a Park Hills Central or something like that. We've seen quite a few teams advance, especially Charleston over the last number of years. New Madrid a couple years ago. So a little strange we didn't have one of our own Class 3 teams make it, but I'll tell you that quarterfinal round is really tough. Had to go through Whitfield this year, and I think they were in the same round last year. I think they defeated Crothersville last year in the same round in the quarterfinal round. So Whitfield having a really good team here in the last few years as they're back in those state semifinals. And taking a look at girls Class 1, the semifinals, that'll be South Iron at 23-5, taking on Mercer at 29-1. And the other semifinal, Walnut Grove at 27-4, taking on Prairie Home at 22-8. And girls Class 2, Oran, the Oran Lady Eagles at 27-3 will take on Adrian at 29-1. Scotland County in the other semifinal, 27-1 versus Skyline at 29-2. Those are the Thursday matchups as well. Up at Columbia, they actually share two of the arenas up there, Mizzou Arena and the Hearn Center. They use both of those facilities for the semifinal games. And for Oran's game Thursday, they will play Thursday night at 6:40. Thursday night at 6:40, Oran versus Adrian. That'll be Thursday night at 6:40 at Columbia. And in the girls Class 3 state tournament matchups in the semifinals, Whitfield at 24-7 versus Trenton at 27-3. And in the other semifinal, Lutheran North at 22-8 versus Stratford at 31-0, an undefeated Stratford team coming in to the state Final Four. So those are the Class 3 semifinals for the girls. Now, taking a look at the boys Class 4 state tournament, we are now in the sectional round. That's the round of 16. Round of 16 for Class 4 and 5, and this is the top half of the bracket that's more pertinent to our area. The Sikeston Bulldogs there at 23-4. The Sikeston Bulldogs will take on Hillsboro, who stands at 25-3, and it should be a great matchup that we're going to bring to you, which we'll get to in a moment. Sikeston and Hillsboro, they haven't played this year. Hillsboro and Farmington played in the District 2 championship Friday night, and Hillsboro got a narrow victory over Farmington, which Sikeston played Farmington, I believe, a month or so back, and Sikeston beat them by about 8 or 9 points, I believe, on the road in Farmington. And Hillsboro just edged Farmington in a close game. So I would expect a pretty competitive game there between Sikeston and Hillsboro, and both coming in with great records. Sikeston at 23-4 and Hillsboro at 25-3. Hillsboro's had a pretty good team the last few years. They had a good team last year that I can recall as well. So probably a pretty experienced team there with Hillsboro, and it should be a good matchup there between Sikeston and Hillsboro in that sectional round to be taking place in Farmington at the Farmington Civic Center. That'll be a 6 o'clock start on Tuesday. And the neighboring sectional there, that's St. Mary's at 25-3 versus Vashon at 23-3. And St. Mary's and Vashon set to battle it out. They are the top 2 ranked teams in the state, and they are playing in the sectional round. Vashon, the top ranked team in the state in Class 4, and St. Mary's right behind at 2, the second ranked team in the state in Class 4. And the top 2 ranked teams will go at it there in the sectional round Tuesday night as well. Sikeston's number 3 ranked team in Class 4, so they're right there in the mix as well. So we'll see how that plays out. And big games there Tuesday night, and those 2 sectional matchups for Sikeston versus Hillsboro and St. Mary's versus Vashon. We could see a rematch of last year's semifinal game between Sikeston and Vashon if both of those teams were to win Tuesday night. That sure would be a good one to see. We'll see how that plays out Tuesday night. Taking a look at boys Class 5 state tournament. Jackson coming off their impressive victory over Poplar Bluff Thursday night. Jackson defeated Poplar Bluff in overtime by, I think, 3 points. Three points over Poplar Bluff as they stand at 18-10. They'll take on Fort Zumwalt West at 18-9. They'll be playing in the sectional round Tuesday night as well. And Jackson have a pretty good, strong finish as they defeated Sikeston in the last week of the regular season. Come in and beat Poplar Bluff on their home floor in the Class 5 District 1 championship. So Jackson looking pretty good right now, playing the best they have all year, I would say. And they, in the last poll, they were ranked number 10 in the last poll in Class 5. So they're finishing strong. Hopefully they can fare well against Fort Zumwalt West Tuesday night in that sectional. And take a look at the girls Class 4 state tournament. These are the sectional round as well, the round of 16. These are the top 8 teams of the bracket. And the Dexter Lady Bearcats coming into this sectional at 20-8. They will take on Potosi, who defeated North County in the District 2 championship Friday night. And Potosi's at 16-14 on the year. So Dexter looks to fare well against Potosi, even record-wise, but we'll see how that plays out. These sectional quarterfinal games are tough. They're neutral courts and quite a bit of ways from home. You just never know how these will play out. So we'll see how that plays out Tuesday night at the Farmington Civic Center. That'll be a 7:45 start at the Farmington Civic Center as the Dexter Lady Bearcats take on Potosi in that sectional round. The winner will advance on to take on the winner of the neighboring sectional there, Lutheran South, who's at 19-8, and Clayton at 23-5. So we'll see how that plays out Tuesday night as well. And the girls Class 5 state tournament, Jackson, who defeated Poplar Bluff handily. I think a 32-point victory for Jackson in that Class 5 District 1 championship. They're at 21-6. A really good year for the Jackson Lady Indians. They advance and they'll take on Fort Zumwalt South. Comes in at 16-10. And that'll be in that sectional matchup Tuesday night as well. And those are the matchups to look forward to from classes 1 through 5. As you see there, we've got quite a few teams that are competing from here in southeast Missouri. And this was supposed to be kind of a down year as we had so many good teams last year, so many great teams that made good runs. You look back, Class 1 for the boys, Gideon. Class 2, Bloomfield. Class 3, Crothersville made it to the quarterfinals. Class 4, Sikeston come away with 4th place in the Final Four. And even Jackson last year made it out to the quarterfinal round in Class 5, and those are just the boys' teams. You had some girl teams make some runs last year as well. I think Neelyville made out in Class 2 to the state Final Four. Saxon Lutheran played in the state championship game in Class 3, come away with 2nd place. Dexter made it to the quarterfinal round in Class 4, and Jackson, I believe, made it to the quarterfinal round, I believe, in Class 5, at least the sectional round. I think I do recall them making it to the quarterfinals in Class 5. So, last year, one of those years, you could pretty much put the bulletin board and remember that for quite some time, 2015, 2016. But 2016, 17, had some teams really bounce back this year and really rebuild and just really rebuild. So the better teams from last year really done well this year. And wish them the best of luck going forward. We got quite a few teams still battle out state tournaments going forward this week. And this week will be the last week of our season. We've got some games to bring to you that we do intend to bring to you this week. It will be the last week nonetheless. We're not allowed to broadcast any televised games from the Final Four, so this will be our last week of the season to bring to you. But the games that we'll be looking forward to bringing you this Tuesday night will be the boys and girls Class 4 sectionals from the Farmington Civic Center up in Farmington. And you see there the first game, the boys Class 4 sectionals, the first game at 6 o'clock. That'll be Sikeston versus Hillsboro. We'll bring that live to you from the Farmington Civic Center. Jeff Williams and I will bring you that broadcast from Farmington at the Civic Center there between Sikeston and Hillsboro. We'll be looking forward to bringing you that game. And then following that game at 7:45 will be the girls Class 4 sectionals, Dexter versus Potosi. Going to bring that one live to you as well from Farmington, and we'll bring that live right here on Channel 21 on your New Wave Cable and YHCtv.com. So look forward to those broadcasts coming up this Tuesday night right here on your hometown channel. And we do intend to broadcast more after Tuesday night. Both of these teams advance. Really, if even one of them advance, Dexter or Sikeston are local teams. If even one of them advance, will likely be making the trip up to Jefferson College in Hillsboro, all the way up just south of St. Louis, up in Hillsboro, to bring you the quarterfinals from Jefferson College up in Hillsboro for Class 4. Class 4 quarterfinals will be held up in Hillsboro this coming Saturday at 12 and 1:45 starts. 12 o'clock boys start, 1:45 girls start up in Hillsboro this coming Saturday. So we do intend to bring you those games as long as at least one of those teams advance, Dexter girls or Sikeston boys. If at least one of those teams advance to that quarterfinal round, we will make the trip up for that game. Hopefully both of them will advance. We get both of those boys and girls games from Hillsboro this coming Saturday. So those are the broadcasts remaining for sure this coming Tuesday. The sectional games, boys and girls games, and potentially 2 more games this coming Saturday up in Hillsboro. So this is our last week of the year, and they're going to be the biggest games of the year. Potentially even a Sikeston rematch from last year in that quarterfinal. That'd be a great game to end on, even though it would be the ending. If girls would advance, that would be our last game there at 1:45 in that quarterfinal round. So, what better way to go out with some of the best teams in the state of Missouri with Sikeston and potentially Vashon. But as we mentioned, those sectional games are going to be tough for everybody. Hillsboro and Sikeston, I think that'll be a game for teams. I think that'll be a tough bowl. It'll count the end, I believe. And certainly that St. Mary's and Vashon game, that neighboring Class 4 sectional, top 2 ranked teams in the state are battling out in that sectional round up around St. Louis. So that'll be a big game as well. No telling what the matchup's going to be in that quarterfinal round. But hopefully Sikeston will advance and we can bring that to you up in Hillsboro this coming Saturday. So exciting time. We got quite a few teams still battling out. That's our watch. Teams are advancing on in the state tournament in the state of Missouri. And we're going to take another quick break and wrap up here momentarily.
When you connect with high-speed internet from New Wave Communications, you unlock all kinds of possibilities. More streaming and viewing, more ways to keep in touch, more way to learn. And best of all, adding New Wave Internet to your television package won't cost a lot more thanks to New Wave's bundle discounts. In fact, if you're paying another amount for internet, switching to New Wave will probably save you. Call or go to newwavecom.com to find more ways to bundle and save.
For the best one-stop grocery and gas stop, it's Bill's Market in Puxico. They've got a full service as well as a great selection of meats, including ribeyes, T-bones, pork steaks, chicken, ham, sausage, and hamburger meat. Bill's Market is well known for their meats, and they'll keep you coming back. They carry fresh fruit and vegetables and your everyday grocery needs, such as snacks, sodas, and a deep frozen section, where the staff is friendly and you always see a friendly face. At Bill's Market on Highway 51 in Puxico.
And welcome back. And as we wrap up our show today, we've got some local happenings to report on, as we've been talking about over the last, I believe, 2 weeks. Kennett is still in search of a new head football coach, as Aaron Pixley has stepped down from that position to become the new athletic director at Dexter Schools this upcoming school year. So it leaves a vacancy for Kennett. Been quite a bit of talk in the area about who might be the one to replace Aaron Pixley there at Kennett as new football coach. Probably certainly the top candidate is Joel Wyatt, I would assume. It's been quite a bit of talk whether Joel Wyatt's interested in that position. I believe we may have an answer even by this weekend or even this coming week. Who's going to be that new coach in Kennett? I know Joel Wyatt's probably the most circulated name that's been out there about whether he's interested or certainly being pursued for that Kennett head football coach. As Joel Wyatt's had great success at Malden the last handful of years, multiple district championships. I think they're working on 3 straight championships they've won, and going to be bringing back a pretty strong team this coming year as well. But Kennedians have got a good program. Aaron Pixley's done a good job getting that program to play at a high level there in Class 3. Played in a couple district championships here of late. And Joel Wyatt's certainly going to be a candidate for that position. I would assume that we will know here just in a few days, in the very least, whether Joel Wyatt or anyone for the matter will be taking the Kennett football coach. So we'll see how that plays out here in the next few days. But expect that job to be filled early this next week at Kennett. And other than that, we got some baseball. Baseball practice has gotten underway, certainly down in Arkansas, but here in Missouri as well. This last week was the first week of practice for the spring sports. And Dexter set to an upgraded baseball field out at the East City Park, baseball field. And the Dexter Schools, Dexter Parks and Recreation has done a great job working on the field, getting it upgraded, and just at certainly a better playing field there at the East City Park. A lot of work's been done on that, and they plan to basically have a ribbon cutting, groundbreaking ceremony. I don't know what would you call it for a baseball field out at the East City Park to be Saturday, March 11th. And I believe that'll be around 10 o'clock when they get together, have the ribbon cutting, first pitch, and that sort of thing to commemorate the upgraded facility there at the East City Park to commemorate the new baseball field. And bringing back a lot of old players that's had great success at Dexter to help celebrate the new upgraded field. So, that'd be something to look on. We're about to be out there, but the only thing is that Saturday we might be up in Hillsboro bringing some basketball games either on our way up or setting up for the potential quarterfinal games this Saturday in Hillsboro. But if it works out, we'll be there to try to be on hand to record some footage of that, if that indeed takes place this Saturday, even if the Dexter girls advance up to the state quarterfinals Saturday. But congratulations to Dexter Schools and Dexter Parks Recreation. I know getting the schools and the city organizations work together, that can be tough sometimes when Dexter's playing on the city field, trying to get together to make that playing surface as best as it can be. Certainly be tough at times, and kudos to both of those organizations, Dexter Schools and Dexter Parks and Rec, getting that done for the baseball team this year. And that's pretty much all to bring to you for today. We appreciate you for tuning in as always, and as I said, it's our favorite time of the year, bringing some of these high high stakes games to you right here on Channel 21 each year is probably the biggest thing we do all year, besides maybe the Phil Christmas tournament. Other than that, traveling sometimes 2 hours off any of these live broadcasts, that's certainly the value that we will bring to you right here on YHC. So hopefully you'll stick around the week to catch those last broadcasts of the year that we'll bring to you right here on Channel 21, YHCtv.com. And that's all we've got for you today. I appreciate you for tuning in as always, and we'll see you next time. And Wagner, take care.